Hi everyone. So a few days back, I received this message and it got me really worried. It speaks about the fact that the school fee is 3.8 lakhs and you need to take out a loan in order to pay that school fee. This is a really sad reality. Many of you, like me, would have gone to schools, decent, good schools, where the school fee was 500, 600, 700 rupees. And we did pretty okay in our careers. But now in private schools, the school fee is rising like anything. Now combine it with the fact that the salary increase in India is not that high. Pick IT sector, for example, which is a major employment generator in India. So there, the median salary of an IT worker who is joining in 2022, it is roughly around 3.55 lakhs. So if that person after 4-5 years has his or her own kids, then that person would definitely need a loan in order to send their kids to a decent private school. Now, many of you would give me counter arguments that what's the point of sending to private schools? Why can't you send to schools that charge very basic fee? Or why can't you send to government schools? So let me ask you a question. So people who are watching this video, you might be English speaking, you might understand what I'm saying. You might be in that tax bracket where you are paying 20-30% taxes. Now, honestly, just go and speak in your friend circle and just from your family members itself, you'll get an understanding that do you use health services provided by the government? Do you go to public hospitals? The short answer might be a no, that you don't really avail that. Do you go to government schools or send your kids to government schools? The short answer is no. Do you avail ration from public distribution scheme? The short answer is no. The broad question that I want to ask is fairly simple, that you are the one paying taxes between the tune of 20 to 30% and you are not availing direct benefits out of anything, be it healthcare, be it like education and a bunch of other different things. In fact, if you buy any luxury product in India, it is expensive. If you buy an imported car, you might have to pay even 100% tax on that. So tax pe tax ho raha hai, right? And you are not the one getting direct benefits on it. So the point is that do you think that the tax structure in India, is it toxic? And is there something that you and I can do as common citizens? What are the rational thinking process that we should adopt here? How we should navigate this situation? All these become extremely critical points that are not just going to impact you. These are going to impact your future generation also. So please, my humble request would be that come in unity. When it comes to middle class taxpayers, we have zero unity. We don't do anything. We are the worst voter base. Therefore, we are taken for a ride. So from that particular perspective, my simple humble request would be help yourself by sharing this video with as many people as you can. So with that said, let us kickstart our conversation. And also, I would like to give a big shout out to our sponsors for today, which is taxbuddy.com. It is an excellent tax filing platform. The tax filing season in India is well and truly underway. Thousands of taxpayers came forward to avail their massive 40% discount, which was valid till 31st of May. Now, this discount has been reduced to 35% now. Probably you're not thinking about filing your taxes until July, but I would encourage all of you to file your taxes as early as possible. So do check the links in the description and comment box, and you can use TaxBuddy's friendly services for filing your tax early and avail that special discount. Okay, so back to the main video, and there are 5-6 basic points that I will discuss, and I would request you to judge this topic from an economics lens, not a political lens. I'm not speaking about a specific political party. Okay, so the first critical point that you must know as an informed citizen is the tax structure that exists in India versus outside India. So you might have heard that many European countries, Nordic countries, they have a fairly high taxation structure. Now, if I have to just show you some charts and graphs here, so you can take a look here, you will see that some countries like Sweden have a very high personal income tax. So it can go up to even 55 to 60%, which is fairly high. And you will say, "Yaar, chalo, theek hai, India mein itna to nahi hai," right? I mean, we have an effective tax base or highest tax base of roughly 40-45%. So itna to nahi hai, so that's good news for us. The short answer is actually no, that is not the correct way of understanding, because there are two parts to taxes. One is that it's a subscription service which you have not even opted for, and you have to keep paying the government that amount of tax. And majority of us who are watching this video, we would be paying taxes between 20 to 30%. So that is the normal range in which we might be paying taxes. So this is the investment, or this is the amount of money that we are paying for the services that are supposed to be provided by the government. So then you need to ask a broader question, okay, I have paid my dues, I am paying my taxes. What is it that I am getting in return? So very quickly, let's work through the Swedish example. First and foremost, so that is the highest effective tax rate, which is around 55%. But there was a study that was done by Vox, and it was revealed that only 15% of the tax base of Sweden pays that highest effective tax rate. For majority of the Swedes, they pay less than 27% taxes. In India, we are paying somewhere between, let's say, 15 to 25% taxes. So that's the base that we can assume. So that's the investment or the money that we are giving to the government. What is it that we are getting versus Swedes who are actually paying taxes are getting? That's a very important point, that you need to ask yourself the question that, okay, if this group of people are paying taxes, what are this group of people getting? That's the larger question I want to drive home. So in Sweden, the healthcare is free. And majority of the people actually avail public healthcare. See, just building free systems does not do any good if they are in really bad shape and if you have to get in very, very long lines to avail healthcare. So that would not work for you. What about education? The school education is free, college education is free. In fact, you get stipend. So when you're doing PhDs and bunch of other degrees, the government gives you stipend. They help you with your lodging, boarding, and a bunch of other facilities. On top of that, there is social security. So in case you're not getting jobs or you need government assistance, so I will read it with you. What is it that they get? So for example, here's an important paragraph and I will read it with you. So the Swedish assistance program consists of two parts, a sustenance allowance and financial support. Some of the sustenance benefits is to cover food costs, clothes, shoes, leisure, hobbies, hygiene, child and youth insurance, consumer goods, newspaper, telephone. So for everything, there is a social security structure. So the larger point is that people are paying 27% taxes, but they are getting a lot in return. What is the situation in India? Now again, and this is relevant for people who are paying taxes, right? So who are paying that 15 to 25, 30 odd % tax in India, what is it that they are getting in return? Are they getting free healthcare? No. Are they getting education for free? No. Are they getting college education for free? Very few. Large, net, most of the people are not falling into that bucket where they are availing any benefit. So for that reason, the tax structure in India seems to be punitive, that you are going and giving your money almost for eternity till the time you live, and you're not getting any facility in return. Now I can hear a lot of clicking noises that, you know, army hoti hai, police hoti hai, vagera hoti hai. Yes, I agree, and we cannot factor that into our discussion. Now I cannot get into every minute detail here. You need to study the topic with a slightly more broader point. The larger point I am trying to encourage you is to do a cost benefit analysis of your taxes. That's a simple message I am trying to give. So by doing this analysis, you will quickly realize that India mein itna return nahi hai in the amount of taxes that we are giving. So from that perspective, I would personally consider the tax structure to be punitive. That's part A. Part B. Take a look at two graphics now. One is for Sweden, one is for India. Now in Sweden, the highest effective tax rate is being brought down. You can study the last 25-year history of Sweden. So that is being brought down. In India, opposite is happening. The effective tax rate is rising like anything. Part A. Part B. Indirect taxes are increasing. For example, GST, highly debatable whether that is more effective taxation, less effective taxation. It really depends on which side of the spectrum you are on. So invisible taxes are also rising. Personal income taxes are also rising in form of investment. For example, long-term capital gains tax, indexation benefits and all that have been withdrawn from debt mutual funds. So even your investments are being charged higher and higher. So one way or the other, this tax incident is rising in India, and for the Nordic countries, we cannot make the same argument. So according to me, I would call the Indian tax structure a little bit punishment oriented, simply because of the viewpoint that people who are actually footing the bill are not getting much in return. So now comes the second point, that why is it that I'm calling this punitive? So one point is that people who are actually footing the bill are not getting much in return. Let's study economics behind it. Let's study some numbers around it. And let's talk about the incentive structures here. So the first key point that you must understand here is the concept of tax base. Now in India, the total population is roughly 140 crores and our average life expectancy is 70 years. Now kids below like 20 might not be paying any taxes and people above 60 might not be paying any taxes. So approximately 50-60% of our population will fall into that base which should be paying taxes if they are making money. So what is the number of people that should be paying taxes if they are fully employed? Then that number should be roughly 70 crores. So out of this, how many people actually pay taxes? Well, the income tax department tells us that roughly 8 crore people pay taxes. Only 8 crore. So that makes us approximately what? 10%. So what is the situation in Sweden? So 6.7 million out of 8 million target group pays taxes. So in Sweden, this rate is almost like crazy, almost like 75-80%. In India, that relevant base would be less than 10-12%. Now there can be multiple reasons. For example, employment niyam. For example, people avoid taxes. For example, many groups are given like choot, complete choot, that don't pay any tax to begin with. So what happens is that the incidence of taxes simply means that if 100 rupee is collected as tax by the government, then which part of the population or which group or segment of the population bears the major brunt of the taxes. So that unfortunately comes out to be the middle class. Now comes 2-3 very interesting questions. First is कि यार why middle class का गला क्यों पकड़ते हैं? Why not some other class? Okay, very simple thing that middle class is not united. They don't bother about taxation. When I ask you to share such videos, you guys don't share it. So what ends up happening is that government gets a free hand. लगा दो जो भी tax लगाना है. Who is going to make a noise? And we will pass by. So that media management becomes very easy because the group is not united. So this is a very honest reason. This is one. Second key thing is that, okay, can we even increase our tax base? The short answer is yes, we can easily increase our tax base. For example, why is the agricultural income 0%? I'll tell you the reason. Because a lot of politicians have agricultural land in which they pay like 0% taxes. If they bring rich farmers under agriculture and make them pay 20-30% taxes, it's going to be a mayhem in the parliament and such a bill will not get passed. I am spitting facts, so please consider supporting it. I am not speaking against any specific political party. Now comes the third part कि यार अच्छा tax base बढ़ाना हो, then can we increase the employment? Yes, you will easily be able to increase the employment if you are spending money productively. But in India, we spend money on crazy stuff. For example, monument building is a new thing that is gaining a lot of prominence. So in order to help you understand this monument building point, let me pick the example of Statue of Unity. So approximately 3,000 crore was spent in building Statue of Unity. Now, how much money has Statue of Unity made in the last 3 years? So study was done before COVID, 2018, 19 and 20. So the total money was made roughly 116 crores. Now, if you do the investment yield computation and all that, what you will figure out is the average yield comes out to be 1.2%. Now, at this rate, it will take 80 years to break even on this investment. So for example, it is like you buying a flat and pouring your money into it, and it will take you 80 years just to break even, right? So that is the financial part of it. Now I know many of you would say that, you know what, it's a tourism बढ़ता है, वगैरह वगैरह बढ़ता है, and economy improvement होती है, and people get jobs also, and there is like so much good peripheral things that are happening. Okay, so 2-3 questions for you. Number one, if monument building was such a great thing, then why don't we give up on service sector, manufacturing sector, and we keep on making like monuments only? That will give people a lot of employment, and we will become the #1 economy in the world. Why aren't we doing it? Second key question, many people say that, you know, tourism will increase because there will be a lot of peripheral things that will improve with it. 100% agree, but if the goal is to improve tourism, then do you think that it is better to invest 3,000 crore rupee in building a statue, or do you think that it is much better to invest 3,000 crore rupee in improving the infrastructure and other peripheral things around it? Now, why was this statue built and why more statues are getting built? All that needs to be taken care of. So see, the point is that there is a direct way and sensible way of doing things, and then there is an indirect way of doing things. And it will not even be impactful, but we as taxpayers might be footing the bill here, and it does not add to us. It does not give you any direct benefits. So for example, Statue of Unity was built. Did it lower your cost of education? Did it lower the cost of your healthcare? Did it improve tourism all of a sudden that, you know, everyone is flocking to India to visit like Statue of Unity? The short answer is no, it is not impacting that. There is much better use to that 3,000 crore rupee. That's a simple point I'm trying to drive home. I'm not trying to criticize decisions. Also think from a larger point. Now I know a lot of people would have taken like heat that, you know what, why are you taking about this particular Statue of Unity thing only? Why not some other thing? So see, here is the simple fact that doing such unproductive expenditure just lead to bad precedents. Now one party has done it, now the next party will do it. Same goes for freebies, that one party has distributed freebies, the next party will also do it. And it just becomes a whataboutism race. This brings me to the third point, that these days, any political action can be justified by using the fourth pillar of democracy, which is media, and they can show you any type of analysis. That अच्छा ये फलाना ढीम का statue बनी, इसके वगैरह वगैरह benefits are there, so therefore we should support it in the name of nationalism. Please use your brain. Is it a productive expense? Is it an unproductive expense? You don't need to be a genius to figure it out. If you have to defend spending 3,000 crores so much, you really need to ask a question. Anything can be justified in the name of culture and history, and it is ultimately you who will bear the cost Please understand that. The job of the media these days has become just to play agendas. You guys are smart enough, so please understand that simple point. Ultimately, it will be you who would be footing the bill for all the political photo ops that is happening on public property that has been built with your money, and those photos are being projected as like a private photo shoot that is happening with public money. So yeah, so that's a simple point. I will try to explain and I will leave that conversation there. So see, the next point is that in order to run this entire circus, you need crazy amount of money, right? I mean, you cannot keep on building like and doing unproductive expenses and vagera thing without having the money in the kitty. So that money needs to be raised somewhere. From whom such money would be raised? It would be raised from people who would not have a lot of collective power, unfortunately middle class people, and they would be made to pay like hell, right? So for example, when it comes to rich businessmen, they get to buy distressed assets, they get loans, they get a lot of direct benefits by paying their taxes. When it comes to the lower segment, they get like PDS, vagera, distribution schemes, hospitals and all that. That benefits them in a way. But the remainder of the segment of the population is carefully crafted. TDS is like one of the easiest things. Bhai, aapke paas paisa bhi nahi aata in your account and you pay a TDS before that, right? So I mean, that's one. Agricultural income, why it is not being taxed, no one knows. Why is it that ministers and politicians are getting like bijli free, pani free, electricity free, this free, gaadi free, bangla free, everything free for them also. They are making like a lot of money, still it's free for them. So why are these basic things not getting changed? And why is it that the taxpayer has to bear the major brunt here? Now see, the situation is not going to change. For example, take a look at this effective tax base. It is going up in India like crazy, right? And beyond a point, it becomes very obvious. It becomes like a media management issue. If you hit the highest effective tax rate in India, more than 50%, then people will start saying the same thing. Yeah, Sweden mein to itna milta hai, and in India, despite charging almost the same amount, we are not getting anything. It becomes a headline management issue. So what ends up happening is that the government becomes even more creative. So for example, take a look at this food inflation chart. So what you would notice is that in January of 21, the food inflation in India, official figure, was 2%. In January of 2022, it was 5.4%. In January of 2023, it was 6%. So if you aggregate all three, it will come out to be maybe like 12-13%. So effectively, your food bill should not have gone up by more than 15%. That for example, if you were getting eggs 3 years ago at let's say 15 eggs for let's say 100 rupees, now it should not be more than 115 rupees. Now you tell me at what rate has your grocery bill increased? I'm not trying to spark a debate here. This is basic rational thought process. I'm helping you cultivate. So you tell me, has the food inflation really been at this rate? What is being projected? That 15% in the last 3 years combined? The short answer is absolutely not. Look at your grocery bill. You yourself comment and tell me by what rate has your food bill increased by. You order from Zomato. At what rate restaurants have increased their food rate by? All these basic things allows you to understand what is happening at an economic term. Now, just to help you structure this thought process better, see, there are 2-3 ways in which the government can make money. Number one, directly. Ki bhai hame zyada tax de do, give us like 60%, 70%. That leads to try, that leads to haha. So that is very difficult to do. Second key thing is that you increase inflation in the economy and give the impression that inflation hasn't really increased. This food inflation chart was one of the techniques. Third is that make the indirect taxes. For example, GST is an indirect tax. Now, if I ask you that, you know what, do you know how much indirect tax you pay on pen versus how much indirect tax you pay on your copy versus how much indirect tax you pay on beverages, how much indirect tax you pay on alcoholic beverages? So you would go crazy. There is like a different tax rate for every single item and you will go absolutely bonkers trying to identify this. So make the indirect taxation structure so complicated that people cannot understand it. And that is one of the reasons why India has one of the most complicated indirect tax structure called as GST. आप simple सा कर दो 15-20% जितना आपको लगाना है GST में, you just do it and be done with it. Why like 5% for this, 3% for this and 20% for this? It's just like complete confusing for people. Even for people who are running their own businesses, they have to do so many compliances in order to file their GST. It is just a very problematic thing. So in short, before presenting a solution, if I have to summarize all the key problems, the point is that the tax incidence for the middle class is really high. Our tax base is really low. Giving exemptions to ministers, agricultural income, all that forms a part of it. Third is that the government needs crazy amount of money to keep up with the photo ops, keep up with the monument building and all those different things. Now comes the solution part, that what is it that you can do? See, first and foremost, please become an informed citizen. It is great that you can attack me, that you are this political, you are that political. See, I have made videos against freebie. You can check it here. I am a pro-economics party. I do not support any political party. I have no agenda against any political party. Stop attacking me. Start developing a rational thought process. That is the simple request I have had. Get united. This is the second thing. Please work together. This is very, very important. If you never raise public awareness, then everything will look fair to you. Why? Because now people will comment that, you know what, you gave the example of Sweden and here we are talking about India. How can you compare these two things? These are very, very different things. I 100% agree. These are different things. You tell me what is the definition of fairness. There is no fixed definition of fairness. There is a definition of rationality, so to say. So you can think about the fact how much benefits you are getting and how much of taxes you are paying. You need to do that computation for yourself. No person in the world can convince you. I have shown you enough data. Now it is up to you whether you believe that story or not. Third thing, you need to understand the difference between productive expenses or unproductive expenses. Your tax money is being used a lot for unproductive expenses. Monument bana denge, freebie baat denge, वगैरह वगैरह. Of course, you would have a bunch of people who would benefit from such actions, and there will be majority of the people who will not benefit from such actions. Please speak rationally whenever you are supporting economics. This is not hyper complicated stuff. I am explaining you basic things only. Now finally, if you want to protect yourself, please upskill, please learn about investing. It is getting more and more difficult with time to invest your money. It is getting extremely crazy high rates, commissions, whatever. So please learn how to invest. If you can't inflation protect your wealth, you will witness one of the highest cost decades between the year 2020 all the way till 2030, where you will just assume that food inflation is just 15% in the last 3 years. But when you actually look at your grocery bill, it will come out to be like 40% increase. Why is that happening? That's a separate topic altogether. I have covered it here. You can go and check it out. I have explained this entire concept in detail, but I hope you enjoyed today's conversation and I hope that you will support rational thought process. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you soon.